Peace, love, and light, Islam. On the behalf of the entire organic nation, the entire population of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitutional-Monarchy, I welcome you to this video presentation. You could have been a lot of places doing a lot of things, however you chose to be here. We give honor unto you for that, for your time, which is precious to you as it is to us. May you choose to stay with us for the duration of this entire video presentation. As always, the MX Empire on my watch, the Imperial government, we have to monitor all across the planet. It helps us with our operations planning for our fiscal budget operations. It helps us to plan it for the future, not just for our operations in the present. To that end, knowledge and institutional knowledge goes a long way in making sure that we are effective because we are frugal and because we have thought things out and have multiple plans and multiple backup plans for everything that we move to do. Because as always, it is very clear to us that no plan ever survives contact with reality. So you must be able to be flexible, you must be nimble, and that's exactly what we do. There are some things that have gotten our undivided attention. We've been watching coup after coup after coup happen all throughout Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu in areas where the Franks and Gauls were using superior force or arms to control those areas where our population of kith and kindred are. And those coups have come about for many reasons, but ultimately they impact what happens in Paris, not just what happens on the ground where our kith and kindred are. We have observed these things partially because we knew that some of them were tied back to deals that were made with the death trappers from the Far East. And pretty much those who were in charge of the militaries there, who don't make a lot of funds, they weren't cut into whatever deals, whatever bribes that was made and accepted by particular parties on the ground that were in the areas under the influence of the Franks and Gauls. The youth have been very annoyed because they see all their resources going out of their soil and waters and don't see any advantage unto them. But they see some very rich folks doing very well. And in between them are the militaries. The militaries overthrow the civilians. It's like watching a cycle that repeats itself. We have observed all these things to see how the flow of commerce and trade is impacted, how the international buying power of silver is impacted, because the bulk of what we collect in business taxes and contributions within the Amexem-Moor-Empire is not platinum or gold, although they are both official mediums of exchange of the Amexem-Moor-Empire. The bulk of what we collect is silver. So we must watch what's happening with the international buying power of silver because it impacts what our fiscal budgets are and how we prioritize what we buy in what order off of our fiscal budget laws. That's a hard reality. But to that end, we have observed all these coups that have occurred. And we've also observed another phenomenon. In order to keep the Franks and Gauls at bay, some of the places where these coups have gone down, those who didn't have enough strength basically brought in the arms dealers, PMCs. So basically, out of Moscow, so-called Moscow, they were sending their PMCs to, quote unquote, stabilize the area. Translation, they would come in and get their cut. We have watched this, especially in the Al-Sabara district. And in the Togbia right now, there's mayhem that is afoot there still, because that's basically been a major front for where one particular PMC or private military contractor from Moscow has made their fortune. After 3 years of stealing diamonds out of there, the head of one of their particular well-known private military contractors became a billionaire. It wasn't for what he was doing inside of Moscow. He made his billions because he was getting the diamonds out of the soil in the Al-Sabara district. So basically, it's been one colonizer and now a arms dealer, a thief. And the youth see what's happening. They're not with that particular system being in place. They want it shut down. So there's conflict. However, I mentioned two players. the Franks and Gauls on the one side, and those that are arms dealers out of Moscow on the other, with their private military contractors. So, what does all that mean? Let's make it real simple here. The Franks and Gauls are losing influence all across the Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu. They maintain a firm grip, unfortunately, regarding Mamlaka al-Maghreb, but how much longer remains to be seen. Outside of that, they basically leave them with a couple of locations that still may influence very sharply in the Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu, and a strip of land in the South Amexem and quote-unquote French Polynesia area, and that's basically it. How do they maintain this grip? You always hear me say from time to time, most Wa-Kith Kindred won't let go of the CFA, with the XAF, XOF, or XOP, the three variants I am aware of the quote-unquote CFA, which is basically a fiat currency, a piece of paper that is sorted out from the Franks and Gauls. So since they control the circulation of the CFA, they control those that use the CFA all across the mother continent of Ab.Zu and that strip of land in South Amexem and quote-unquote French Polynesia. So because they control their central banks and their funding, and their central bank is in of itself controlled by a particular private family, that private family is the one that's really pulling the strings. However, the Franks and Gauls, they are dominating Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu right now, but they are losing their grip. And these Moscow-based guns for hire, they step in and they become the bringer of balance, or supposedly the bringer of balance. They are hired by those that throughout the quote-unquote French. And then basically, it leaves the French, as they say, with a choice to make going forward now. They either let things stand, or they're going to basically put their hands in other pies. They're going to get busy elsewhere. And right now, they're angry. Their anger is going to eventually be guided towards those guns for hire and who sent them, basically Moscow. It's a proxy war. It's already occurring. It's going to be even more of a proxy war. That's basically Russia and Ukraine. Basically, the Franks and Gauls are going to be incentivized now to stick it to Moscow. And they're going to do it through Ukraine. That would be probably the most obvious way they may make this move. The Franks and Gauls are not known to do the obvious always. The Franks and Gauls don't move like everybody else in so-called Europe. The Franks and Gauls, well, let me put it to you this way. The Franks and Gauls, it is not out of the question that they will step forward and make other particular moves, i.e., they will send in their forces and take on those guns for hire face to face, straight on. And where the newest coup just went down in Bamako, it is not out of the question that happens there. The Franks and Gauls have no gold deposits, but they have a massive amount of gold reserves. Where do you think it came from? The Alkebu-lan and the Ab.Zu. Bamako has plenty of active gold mines and no gold reserves. 2 + 2 is 4, no matter how you add it up. It's not out of the question that the Franks and Gauls step forward and step hard to run Moscow's boys out of the Bamako. Because not only is that one of their last strongholds, if you would, it's a stronghold that's got a serious amount of gold. And yes, Population is very happy to get rid of the Franks and Gauls attacking their embassy. They're very happy to run them out. Keeping them out is another story. Keeping them out and allowing those parties from Moscow to stay, well, that remains to be seen how that's going to shake itself out. Make no mistake, we are watching. We are watching for many reasons. But one of them, we want to make sure that peace prevails, enough bloodshed, and enough economic marginalization has taken place, and the marginalization there has to stop. Personally, I feel for all parties that are from the Bamako area. They would like very much to get rid of the colonizers. They want to be able to make their own determination. Who wouldn't? It's an issue. The real question is, are there any other hidden hands here? Who else wins by all this going down? Long term, that's a thing that has to be sorted out. When you know the who and the why, the how is there, and then you can sort out what to do about the how and the what. And then maybe, just maybe, those in the Bamako and those throughout all the mother continent will be able to have a better way forward, because those that have been meddling and thieving have been shown the way out. This is one of the things that we're looking at that's impacting silver price across the planet. Again, the buying power of our silver. There's another factor that we are observing very closely, and that's with what they call the quote-unquote BRICS. There are two polar opposites inside of the BRICS guys. The death trappers out of the Far East, and the caste progenitors and the caste imposers in Harappa. They have a common border. They fought over that border, and they are at a standstill, stalemate, occasionally lobbing artillery shells at each other across that border right now. Parties talk about how they're going to have a quote-unquote currency for BRICS. Even if they pull that off, it won't last very long. Unlikely if they pull it off. There are other members of BRICS. And those other members, well, let's say it like this. There are complications to their participating in BRICS. And there are other parties that have been moving to be added into BRICS. And these are oil barons from Mamlaka al-Saud and in that particular area of the Kush Peninsula. They are closer to the death trappers out of the Far East than they are to those in Harappa. Harappa is going to protect Harappa's own interests. And they're not interested in seeing particular parties come into their particular BRICS organization that would be closer to the literal enemy of Harappa. Again, the death trappers from the Far East. And they cannot become official members of BRICS without the agreement of Harappa. The math is not mathing on that one. It is unlikely that they will be able to become actual members of BRICS. It is also highly unlikely that there's going to be a common currency, so-called. A fiat currency for BRICS is ultra unlikely because you have parties that are looking to maintain certain things. One of them, those particular parties in the south, from Ray Bahia, misnomer so-called Brazil, unlikely to go along with this quote-unquote single currency like that with them. Not with that particular block. There's going to be a global UMU for all of them that play in that game of non-substance anyway. And Brazil, so-called, will end up in it. However, quote-unquote BRICS, they're not going there. Harappa is pushing the rupee. They're making deals to transact in the rupee. Their trappers out of the Far East have been working for years, attempting to get their yuan RMB, or RMB, how you pronounce it, to become the future, the once in future, quote unquote, reserve currency. Not working out for them at all. And when parties attempted to make particular moves, folks are doing some trade in the quote unquote yuan RMB, and they're immediately trading them out for fiat dollars. No one's holding on to that worthless paper. They're taking the other worthless paper controlled by the so-called Federal Reserve. They hold those. They refuse to hold whatever is coming out of the possession, or excuse me, out of the influence of the quote unquote PBOC. Hard reality. So there are those who talk about, oh, well, they're going to have it. It's going to be gold backed. That's not incentive enough. Not for those in Harappa. They are polar opposites, remember? And they are rivals like you've never seen. And right now, the debt trappers out of the Far East are in an economic downfall. A crash right now is happening right before everyone's eyes across the planet. They've been buying gold and stockpiling it. Talk about the debt trappers out of the Far East. They've been buying gold because they know what's happening to them right now. It's not just internal lack of demand. The external lack of demand is crushing them on top of their quote-unquote real estate problems. But what is happening with the lack of supply, lack of demand for any products that's being manufactured is further complicated by a simple fact that those doing the manufacturing in the area of the debt trappers from the Far East, they are fleeing that place in droves. And Harappa has been getting a whole lot of them. Not just Harappa, Mandalay and other areas, Chenla, Champa, others in the area, Yamamoto. Those over there in Edo are really watching this thing go down like that. And then Cordio. Cordio's economy, though, is heavily tied back to the debt trappers in the Far East. And they're having a harder time than anyone else, but they are getting some of the manufacturing. However, it is all being dispersed out of the land of the debt trappers in the Far East. Several hundred manufacturers have rolled up out of there. Their airports and other areas where there's commerce are heavily deflated. Very much so. It's starting to show now. They're starting to feel it over there now. And now they are exporting price deflation. Those in North-Amexem are going to love that. They'll get their price rollbacks for manufactured goods. Watching how all these things unfold is one thing. Watching banks, as they call them, across the planet folding, watching 1,200 banks in the land of the debt trappers of the Far East, 1,200 branches, 1,200 banks out of there. It's economic pandemonium reigns supreme right now for those that insist on having non-substance-based economies. Well, at least most of them. The Amexem-Moor-Empire, we don't have a non-substance-based economy. Article 6 of our Constitution says we're not doing that. We don't do fractional reserve banking. We don't do credit here. They're both unconstitutional. We have an imperial depository system. We don't use fiat in digital form or otherwise. We only have platinum, gold, and silver as a medium of exchange. No crypto here. Nothing that's hackable. We're not doing that. Hackable fiat is pointless as far as we're concerned. Susceptible to an EMP is ridiculous as far as we're concerned. And most importantly of all, they had no intrinsic value, which means you cannot engage in fair trade. You cannot convey title without intrinsic value being involved. So no, we don't do the stupid. We've learned those lessons. And when I wrote what became our Constitution that was ratified by the Imperial Council, making it our official law form, well, we have a common agreement that we won't be doing that stupid, and we're not doing that ever again. What they usually try to do in things like this is if they come in and they create pandemonium inside of your jurisdiction and venue. And they create such madness that folks move to suspend their constitutions. Inside of our Constitution is a clause. It's ratified, so it is what it is. It's not going anywhere. That clause is very clear. Under no circumstances, not even war, not natural or man-made disaster, can you abrogate, derogate, suspend the Amexem-Empire Constitution. Period, full stop. We're not going anywhere. Fractional reserve banking coming into the Amexem-Empire is not going to happen. Credit is not going to happen. We won't be doing any of that nonsense. No. We engage through our medium of exchange. We use our imperial depository system. If you have platinum, gold, or silver on deposit in the imperial treasury, you may transact business empire-wide. You have to walk around platinum, gold, or silver in your pocket if you don't choose to. If you have it on account, you may transact electronically. However, it is because you actually have it on deposit. It's not a computer code made up out of thin air. It's not worth this paper. It's not a claim check in the form of a gold or silver certificate. No. It's the actual substance on deposit. And you can transact electronically using passcode and account number. That is how the Amexem-Empire Global Common Market is able to process and engage and be engaged. So when you establish a business in the Amexem-Moor-Empire, you automatically have an account established in the Imperial Depository System. Any male-knit heterosexual across this planet may establish an account, a private account, inside of the Imperial Depository System. We have more than one type of private account. We make it work. You don't have to put with the nonsense that's going on across this planet. And there are many games that's going on, geopolitical engagements, as I just explained this evening. We are strictly neutral unto all of that. We monitor what's happening because we know that all these things ultimately are going to end up impacting the international buying power of silver and gold and platinum. Mainly though we watch it for the silver. I explained all these things for a reason. What's coming across this planet and soon is going to be horrific. And those who did not properly prepare for it are going to suffer severe consequences. However, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, a substance-based economy survives what is coming. We're not the parties that just talk. We're not interested in doing a lot of that. The Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Government, in the search of all our nationals empire-wide, on the four continents where our feet tread. We process protocol and procedure our way into that which is practical and sensible, using basically our Constitution to make sure that we are doing things honorably, right, and just in the process. Fraud countermeasures in place, instant accountability operational underway empire-wide. Not theory, this is what we do here. Across the planet, they have plans for great tumult everywhere to cause folks to give up their guns, to cause folks to volunteer into their one quote-unquote world government using one worthless currency that they don't allow you to save. Either you use it or it expires. To control everything, control every aspect of folks' lives. That is their plan. If you're a melanated heterosexual and you have no issue with that, peace be upon you and your family. Do what you do. If you do not accept any of that, if you do not have any of that and are looking for a way out, the Amexem-Moor-Empire is your way out. You come here, you must pull your weight. We'll train you so you're able to pull your weight. Because collectively, we survived this by all of us pulling our weight and doing so within the rigors of the Amexem-Empire Constitution. It's how it has to be. So, we don't care what language you speak. Tagalog, Marathi, Sepedi, Serer, Wolof, Creole, Patois. Don't care. Don't care if you have a slant to your eyes or not. Don't care if your hair is coiled or straight or somewhere in between. All of our melanated brothers and sisters are welcome to amalgamate within the Amexem-Moor-Empire jurisdiction and venue. Okay, we're on the planet you are. You're welcome here. You are one of those across this planet that we will welcome with honor and with love. We train you to engage within our 12 departments and 39 sub-departments of the Imperial government operations through to the sector government operations, down through the regional governments, down through the district, the local, and the precinct level operations of our government. We train you on how to engage within the Amexem-Moor-Empire commerce and trade, so that you know what you're doing inside of the Amexem-Moor-Empire global common market. We tell our men, you have 1 year to establish a business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire or to buy a stake in an existing one. To feed our families, this is what we as men must do. And this is how we expand the Amexem-Moor-Empire global common market, using our talents and skills in the business that we form or by way of a business that we put a stake in. So, the way forward is on our own terms, being peaceful unto all and hostile unto none, and being strictly neutral unto all parties across this planet. We are not aligned, and we don't take sides. We only engage in commerce and trade, discourse, and international discourse. If you find this of interest, there is a website that we influence, modernmonarchy.squarespace.com. All melanated heterosexuals across this planet are welcome to visit that website to learn all about us, who we are, and how we proceed, and why we proceed in the manner that we do. You'll find it on that site. We're not perfect. We're not pious. We don't always get it right. However, we are most certainly consistent. Our mission is the reason as to why we are consistent. And our mission is unfettered access to natural resources and markets all across this planet, fairly and equitably. And why? For our offspring, our posterity's sake. That's why. And we do things in honor of those whose genes we carry. And we're not going to besmirch their memory. We do it right. We met the first time. We don't always win. We don't quote unquote lose. We learn and we come back 10 times as strong. We keep going until we get it right. Because organic operations of our imperial government for the organic nation is necessary that we do it on our own terms. We do not borrow, so no one has the ability to dictate terms to us in terms of how we engage in our external and internal operations. We don't attack folks. We're not an aggressor, ever. We're not fools. We don't have a military, but we do have a defense operation. Defense is what we are about, not offensive capability. We're not interested in harming anyone, but we're not taking anything from anybody either. What folks do is their business. Just leave us out of it. That's our mindset. We work to be humble but dignified, always firm. And we work to consistently shut up and consistently do the work that we must do to maintain our strict neutrality, to maintain the independent commerce and trade of the Amexem-Moor-Empire upon our independent monetary policy, as predicated in Article 6 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution. On behalf of the entire organic nation whom I serve, the entire population of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitutional-Monarchy, that includes our two sultanates, I am asking you to contemplate and discern upon what I have shared with you this evening. If it resonates in your spirit, by all means, act accordingly. We're not hard to find. The forms you require, the questionnaire you require, if you're looking to amalgamate into the Amexem-Moor-Empire, there's a questionnaire. It's on the website. Fill it out. We can interview you online these days. And that's the silver is your processing, 2 ounces of silver a month. If you're 20 or more and it's in the Amexem-Moor-Empire, as an adult, once you make 20, all of us contribute 2 ounces of silver per month into the Imperial Treasury. That's how we fund our fiscal budget laws. The equipment, material, and supplies that we acquire and deploy empire-wide, that's how we acquire it. We almost pull our weight. The forms to fill out to establish a business are on the website. Under Article 8 of the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, that is how we deal with the Amexem-Moor-Empire sovereign copyrights, sovereign trademarks, and sovereign patents. We are open for business. The Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Court, our qualified court system, is there for dispute resolution. We have the criminal accusation term, the civil accusation term, and the maritime term. Anything tied back to maritime only occurs there in Parts 1 or Part 2. Part 2 for criminal accusation under maritime, and Part 2 for civil accusation under maritime. You cannot argue equity or maritime you cannot argue maritime before the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Court in the civil accusation term. That must be done in the maritime term. We separated it out. We don't do the quote-unquote straw man game here. We don't play those games here. We don't do the unconscionable contract thing here either. You cannot enforce one before the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Court. The common law and the Sharia law is what we use here for our court rules. If you do not choose between them, common law is the default. It's what we do here. The Imperial Court has been convened 8 times in 25 Earth years. 1 for criminal accusation term, 6 for civil, pardon me, and 1 was a court martial. We are who we say we are. We live who we say we are. And there are rules here. And we all honor those rules. It's how we keep ourselves unencumbered unto the colonizing hostiles and their melanated puppets. And we train you so that you don't yourself remain encumbered unto the colonizing hostiles and their melanated puppets. To start any process of amalgamation, to start any process of business establishment within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, review what I have said and act accordingly. The website is modernmonarchy.squarespace.com. You may share it with anyone that you think might find information to be of interest. We look forward to engaging with you on being engaged by you. On behalf of all my nationals now, whom I serve, empire-wide, which is the entire population of the Amexem-Moor-Empire, I shall take my leave. Until we all gather again, may all of us, including your babies, may all of us be healthy and productive. May we all be kept safe and unmolested, especially as we go about our travels. And may all of us work to be humble but dignified, always firm. May we all be a positive inspiration unto all who we engage or are engaged by. And may great abundance and prosperity be upon us all. May we be wise with it. May we be honorable with it. And have each other's backs. All of you melanated heterosexuals, as I just said about you, again, go you forward. Enjoy your families. And be fair with each other. Because basically we're all we got. Remember that. And with that, unto all of you, peace, love, and light. Islam, Islam, Islam.